This episode of Locked on Bus is also brought to you by our sponsors over at Monarch Money. If you want to save some money, Monarch Money is going to help you do that. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. Welcome back to Locked on Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow. Apologies for the late episode. Had some Wi-Fi issues. Go figure. So we are going live when I got the Wi-Fi back up. And I wanted to talk about what a loss can do for Colorado. I think my final prediction for this Colorado team was 7-5. And even that feels ambitious now, right? I'm not seeing it anymore. You just look at what the frequent problems are, and it's you have a quarterback who I feel like he's lost his confidence. You have a quarterback in Caden Salter who he lost his confidence for sure because he was benched. But then I don't think he has a game plan when he has the ball in his hands, right? And clearly, based on what I've been hearing, he hasn't been handling business behind the scenes. You have a defense who is giving up 200 yards rushing per game. Not great, right? That's actually terrible, right? You have a defense that isn't really reliable because who knows what, right? Maybe they are bad at making adjustments. Maybe they misevaluated. But at the end of the day, teams are just running the ball down Colorado's throat, and it is not a pretty sight, right? I think, let me pull up the number here. Colorado ranks 123rd in the country in rush defense. They're giving up 197.2 yards per game. They are the worst. I mean, there's only two teams in the Power Four that have worse rushing defense than them, and both of them have fired their head coach, Oklahoma State and UCLA. So you have a struggling veteran quarterback that I don't know if he's really in the right headspace. You have a run defense that can't stop the run, couldn't stop a nosebleed. And then you also have a secondary that, I don't know, I thought they'd do better. But you just sort of look at where they're graded at according to PFF, and it's like, oh, that's kind of underwhelming, right? You just sort of expected a lot more from this team, or at least I think there was reason to, right? I think there was reasons to be like, yeah, this team has the potential. Like it just comes down to this, and this. But you just look at what they are putting on the field, and I mean, it's not happening. It is simply not happening. I'm pulling up the cornerback grades right now over at PFF, and I'll tell you, it's not pretty. I could tell you that for sure, because you just sort of look at what Colorado is putting on the field, and it's like, okay, where's the good, right? Where's everything? Like, where is the talent? Like, where is all this hype? Where it's like, okay, we lost Travis Hunter, but now we have a guy in DJ McKinney who's a first round pick, or now we have a guy in Preston Hodge. But you look at where these guys grade. RJ Johnson, who hasn't really played that well or that much because he's been, I think, banged up, has the highest grade, 66.9. DJ McKinney, 63.5. Makari Vickers, 57.6. Preston Hodge, 55.9. And then Deion Parks, 49.9. Now you look at the rankings where they rank among corners. RJ Johnson ranks the highest out of all the corners in college football, or out of this team, on this team, and all the corners of college football, 375th. Then DJ McKinney's 515th. Vickers, 704. Hodge, 745. And then TR Parks, 817. Right? You have a bunch of corners that this was like sort of tabbed as like a really good group. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's not happening. You also have a defense as a whole that simply cannot tackle, right? Colorado had their best tackling game, surprisingly, this past week, and they missed 5 tackles. But before that, they were averaging 10 missed tackles a game. You have just missed transfers across the board. So a loss for Colorado could really send the season into a downward spiral. I think a loss can really, really let's just put it this way. If Colorado continues to lose and say it gets ugly, I think people will lose their jobs, right? I think certain coaches at certain position groups will lose their jobs. I think a coordinator may lose their job. Like Colorado is in a very vulnerable state because if there's any program in college football who cannot afford to sort of just go back and forth from like good to terrible, good to bad, whatever, it's Colorado, right? You are under the microscope. You are the team that everyone is watching. You are the team that everyone's ready to jump on, ready to criticize. So you cannot be this vulnerable. And I think there's a lot of problems, and I don't know how you fix them all. And quite frankly, I don't get paid to fix those problems, right? Those are the coaches' jobs, the general manager. I don't know. Like I think Colorado, if a lot with the loss to TCU, and you puts them at 2-4 on the year, and then you're basically you got to win out or not win out, but I mean you're at 2-4. Then you have a matchup with Iowa State and Utah the next 2 weeks, and then you'd have to win your last 4 games, which features a top 25 matchup against Arizona State and then a decent Arizona team. Like this Colorado team right now, if you ask me if I had to put my life savings on whether or not they make a bowl game, I would say no. I don't think it's in the cards right now, right? And I think a loss will really expose the flaws that this team is having internally. I think it'll expose the coaching issues that maybe need to be adjusted. I think a loss would pretty much seal, not the deal, because I'm not saying Deion Sanders is going to lose his job. That's far from what I'm saying. But he may have to make some changes, right? You may have to make some changes to how they evaluate talent. You may have to make some changes to how you coach these players. And you may have to make some changes as to sort of how you run your program, right? Because to go 9-4 and then sort of just lose all semblance of progress the next year with a roster that was repeatedly said to be the more talented roster, I don't really know how you bounce back from that without having to make internal changes, right? So hopefully they can turn it around. When we come back, I'm going to talk a little about them TCU Horned Frogs, but first, a quick break. This episode of Locked on Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. My favorite part about FanDuel is it makes watching football even more exciting because you got a little something extra riding on the game. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. This episode of Locked on Buffs is also brought to you by our sponsors over at Square. The episode is brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots. They run on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood, and these are the places that become an extension of home. So whether it's a little Mexican joint downtown that I love or just a little bar downtown where you like to watch football, Square is the proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You could go to square.com/lockedoncollege and to learn more before you do support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. Welcome back. It's Locked on Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Again, apologies for the later episode. The Wi-Fi went down, and that is not ideal. Let's talk about TCU. What do we need to know about this Horned Frogs team? I think they're a very good team. I actually have them as I think at the beginning of the season, let me see where I projected them to finish. I was pretty high on TCU. I was higher on TCU than most people were. But I think I had them third. I think I had Texas Tech first. I had them fourth. So I had Texas Tech, ASU, K-State, TCU. So, I mean, my top 4 is looking pretty decent, not bad, right? And I was pretty high on TCU because I like Josh Hoover. Now, this TCU team, their rush defense ranks 55th in the country. They're giving up 130 yards per game. Passing defense, right? And they struggle with running quarterbacks. We saw that last week with Sam Levitt. Passing offense is where I get the most concerned, right? I talked about Colorado's corners struggling. Well, guess what? TCU is one of the most prolific passing offenses in the country. 328 yards through the air per game, 13.5 yards per completion, 9.04 yards per attempt. And Josh Hoover is absolutely dealing. And he's probably playing his way into, I would say, round 2, maybe round 1 discussions for the NFL draft. Like, he's good, right? This TCU team can get to the quarterback. I really am confident in Colorado's, this is weird to say, but I'm confident in Colorado's offensive line because they've been, I feel like, really good. They're averaging the longest time to throw in college football, whereas TCU's offensive line, they rank 80th, tied for 80th in sacks allowed. So there's that. But let me get a sip of water real quick. Excuse me. Excuse me. No, I think this TCU team, I'll put it this way. Colorado's flaws have been exposed by teams with running quarterbacks, right? And teams who could run the ball, right? Colorado's giving up 200 yards of offense per game. Colorado's secondary was supposed to be their strength on that defense. And I am very concerned that Josh Hoover is just going to be spraying that thing all over the yard. I am concerned that Josh Hoover is just going to be like, oh, look, my guy over here is a wide open. I'm going to huck it downfield. My guy over here, over the middle, over the crossing routes, open, right? I think Sonny Dykes really has an idea of how he wants to pick apart this Colorado offense, or excuse me, defense. And I'm far less confident in Colorado's corners than I was coming into the year. I thought that would be like the strength. I thought it would be like, oh, you know what, the corners will kind of mask the flaws that the rest of the defense has because it'll be so hard to throw against them. And that has not been the case at all. So I really am concerned for this Colorado team. I personally think that TCU wins this game. I think it'll be close because I think Colorado, it's like they have semblance of a good team, but they don't have all the pieces put together. I don't know when they're going to figure it out. I would love for them to prove me wrong and it be this week, but I'm not sure. I'm just not, right? You guys comment below. Are you sure that Colorado can win this game? Because TCU is going to be extra mad, right? Go back 2 years ago, TCU was talking all that mess and they were like, oh yeah, we're going to derail this fun little story that is Deion Sanders. And no, it ended up being like a cultural movement, but things have changed since then. And Colorado's in a really bad spot this year, I think. And so we'll just have to wait and see. But this TCU team, I expect them to air that thing out. I expect them to really try to get pressure on Caden Salter because Caden Salter, he's not comfortable in the pocket. I think Caden Salter would rather a pocket breakdown than sit in there and just go through his reads. And yeah, I feel like Colorado's vulnerable. So we'll see how that turns out. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. So do me a favor, like, subscribe, follow, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Hope all of you have a great and safe day.